from the quiet dawn of a new day, through the many moments when the world around us seems most ordinary, there is a continuous call, a gentle but persistent echo that reminds us of our connection. I have felt it often, in those early hours before the bustle, when the light is softer and the promise of a step forward is tangible. In that interval between sleep and full wakefulness, I have come to understand something. The hours we claim for ourselves, and those we offer in service, carry equal weight in shaping the person we become. To embrace duty means recognizing that every moment is an opportunity. It is not simply a heavier cloak we don when we face public life. Rather, it is an awareness woven into whatever we do. In study, in silence, in the laughter shared with friends or family, and in the responsibilities quietly shouldered, duty is present. It asks that we enter each moment with intention, that we conduct ourselves not merely as spectators, but as contributors to the whole. I have attempted to learn this lesson from both the vastness of our nation's landscape and the intimacy of everyday life. I have walked among forests and mountains, felt the salt of a coastline breeze, listened to stories carried through generations, and each time I have been reminded we are part of something larger, and with that belonging comes an invitation. The invitation is to give, to act, to reflect, to live with meaning. Time is among our most precious resources, because we do not know its full measure. We might imagine there will always be more, yet each hour, once past, does not return. This is why I believe we must treat time with respect, especially when we consider duty. When I look at the badge of obligation I carry, one born of tradition and service, I do not see it as burden. I see it as a promise to honor those who came before, to serve those who are here now, to safeguard a future for those who will follow. And in that promise, every hour stolen from rest, every moment reclaimed for reflection, every whispered decision to act instead of remain idle, these form the firm foundation of our character. To serve means to place the collective above the personal. It means that when the opportunity arises to lend one's voice, to step into the quiet gap between expectation and action, we choose to lean forward. In this way, our borrowed hours, those we might have spent in leisure, are transformed into hours of purpose. I have seen this especially in the young people of our country, in their creativity, in their courage, in their generosity. They make me believe that duty is not only inherited but chosen. It is chosen in the classroom, in community halls, in the smallest act of kindness that goes unnoticed by most. And by choosing it, we build trust, not simply in the institution I represent, but in one another. There is no distinction between grand gestures of service and the quiet attentions of everyday life. Duty demands both. When I have appeared before assemblies, reminded of our Constitution and our values, I said that I hoped to conduct my actions with humility, with awareness, with unconditional dedication. Those are not words to be repeated without reflection. Rather, they are a compass. When I pause, whether on a hillside beneath ancient trees or in the hush of a study hall, I ask, as the hour spent, was the moment embraced? Did I act as I should? If the answer is uncertain, then I know the work remains. If the answer is confident, then I know that time, though fleeting, has been honored. Reflecting on these hours also means acknowledging the complexity of life. There are days when expectation weighs heavily, when public scrutiny seems intrusive, when one's personal desires must yield to the demands of duty. Yet in those moments, I find strength not by resisting, but by reminding myself of where I stand and why. I stand because of the many who entrusted me with a role. I stand because of the values that have guided our nation. I stand because I believe in the possibility of unity, service and hope. Recognizing duty does not mean eliminating self, but placing self in proper perspective, aware of its privileges, its limitations, its call to something beyond. There is also a learning curve. Time spent in preparation is not lost. Many hours of study, of training, of reflection may pass with little visible change, and yet they are silent investments. When the moment arrives, when duty calls, we find that we are ready not by chance, but by those many unseen hours. I have experienced that feeling of stepping forward and realizing that one has been shaped, quietly, by countless lesser hours. The hours we might have considered oars, turned out to belong to something greater, and in that belonging, we discover purpose. Time and duty thus become intertwined. To give time is to give trust. To accept duty is to accept that time will require sacrifice, yes, but also that it will yield reward in the form of meaning. I endeavor to live so that the hours I claim are not merely of rest, but of readiness, and the hours I offer are not given reluctantly, but given gladly. In doing so, I hope to show that duty is not a burden carried alone, but a path walked together, with family, with community, with nation. This reflection is also a commitment. It is a commitment to live fully each hour, knowing that the span of our days is finite. It is a commitment to listen, to learn, to act. It is a commitment to recognize that every quiet moment of thought, every shared moment of service, every hour spent in preparation matters. Because when we come together, drawing on those stolen or borrowed hours, transforming them into contributions to the common good, we lay the groundwork for a stronger, more attentive society. One where responsibility is valued, where relationships are deepened, where the future is neither taken for granted nor deferred. So I address you all as members of this community, citizens, friends, young and old. Let us remember that time in itself is a gift and duty its expression. Let us live with awareness of both, and let us let the hours we spend be hours of growth, of service, of hope. Let us meet the quiet of dawn with expectation, the bustle of day with purpose, and the stillness of evening with gratitude. In so doing, we shape not only our own character, but carry forward the trust placed in us. May we, together, use our hours wisely. May we accept our duties generously. And may we build, with every moment given, a legacy of integrity, compassion and unity. My beloved friends, when I think of the path ahead, of all the responsibilities and hopes that accompany it, there is one constant beside me, my sister. In the quiet of our shared memories, in the laughter of our childhood and the rhythm of our changing lives, I find her hand reaching across, offering not only companionship, but the comfort of someone who truly understands. We grew up side by side, navigating both ordinary days and extraordinary moments. In those early years, we shared toys and sibling squabbles, then school books and aspirations. Today, though our roles may differ and our duties diverge, the bond remains unchanged. It is woven through years of growing together, of witnessing each other's growth. I look at her and I see not only my sister, but a mirror of my own hopes and fears, a companion who reminds me of home when I stand before the world. Her presence makes the path less solitary. When the burden of expectation weighs heavy, when service demands more energy than I thought I had, I know she stands just beyond the spotlight, sharing my journey though ours may take different directions. She supports quietly, not for applause, but because she believes in more than titles. She believes in the person I am becoming, and I believe in the person she is becoming. In that belief we find strength. There are moments when I walk into a room and feel the gravity of what lies ahead, education, duty, public life, and feel a whisper of longing for simpler times. In those moments, I remember the times we laughed till the afternoon turned to evening. The times we whispered secrets in the dark. The times she simply leaned on me, and I learned how to be steady for someone. Those hours are not lost, they are preserved, carried into every encounter, every decision. She taught me that duty does not mean giving up joy, that being serious does not mean being somber. She taught me to carry kindness in the same breath as commitment. There are times when our schedules pull us apart. She in one city, I in another, one studying, the other training, one's moments public, the other's private. Yet distance does not weaken the bond. On the contrary, it reveals it, because when I receive a message from her, a note of encouragement, a simple, "I'm proud of you," I realize how rare and precious it is. When I see her in an event, poised and calm, I feel a swell of pride, not for what we are meant to be, but for who she is. And when I listen to her voice, confident in her own right, I see that our paths, while different, walk toward the same horizon, to serve with heart, to be genuine, to live with purpose. She is my constant in a world of change. While I prepare for duties ahead, she prepares for her own journey. With different steps, perhaps different focuses, but aligned in our willingness to learn and to serve. We mirror each other's growth. I see in her the courage to define her own way, and she sees in me the responsibility to bear our heritage with humility. And in that reflection we tighten the tie between us, beyond blood and titles, into the marrow of our beings. We share memories that neither protocol nor public expectation can touch. The quiet mornings before formal events, the whispered music in our childhood home, the sibling jokes behind the curtains, the endless nights of writing our teenage thoughts in secret diaries. Those memories became the anchors of our identity. They remind us, whenever we stand on public stages, whenever we don the uniform or attend the ceremony, that we are not simply roles to fulfill, but individuals who once chased sunbeams in a garden, and now step into the light with purpose. And so, when I pause amid the work, I give thanks for her. I give thanks for the sister who held my hand when I felt unsure, who cheered when I succeeded and comforted when I faltered, who reminds me that imposing duties do not erase the sisterly bond. They deepen it. For in our unity we find resilience, in our companionship we find inspiration, in our shared journey we find hope. Hope that one day our efforts will serve others, that our opportunity will reflect the trust placed in us, that our lives will reflect the values we hold dear. To her I owe more than a simple thank you. I owe a promise to remain true, to remain grounded, to remember our laughter as we remember our lessons, to remember her name and her heart as I remember my own promise. For the road ahead is long, and the weight of expectations real. But walking alongside someone who knows your heart makes all the difference. In time I believe we will look back not only on the official engagements, the speeches, the titles, but on the quiet hours we shared, the hours of conversation, of support, of leaning on each other, the hours of trust and unspoken understanding. In those hours we found our foundation, and from that foundation we will continue to build. My sister, my companion, thank you for walking this path beside me. May we always remember that, in the midst of duty and public life, the simplest bond remains the most precious, the bond of sisters who chose to stand together, without fanfare, without demands, simply because we are each other's reflection, each other's voice, each other's hope. And to all who watch and walk your own journeys, cherish the companions who know your heart. For in those relationships grows the strength to serve, the courage to act, and the grace to stay true.